Looks like it, according to that. Yeah. 6 o'clock. Is anybody else coming? Judy? Is anybody else coming, or?
I'm checking with Jim Wright right now. I thought he was coming, but.
Okay,
There he
Paul
is.
is out.
here he is. Thank you, sir. Overreach you by 2 minutes. Anybody else? Paula?
Paula was absent. She said at the last meeting she would be away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess we've got enough to start. Can I have a motion to start the meeting?
I move we start the meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Yep.
Yes.
If you all please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Looks like we are here for a public hearing. Do you have anything to say before I open it?
No, other than to point out there are also 3 written comments that were received in advance of the meeting. We
Okay.
can read those into the record as well.
Okay. Do you have those, Judy?
Want me to read them?
Sure.
Okay. This one was dated August 3rd, 2025, to Terry Metcalf, Chairman, and all members of the zoning board. It's from Mary Wheeler. And it says, "Dear Chairman Metcalf and members of the board, my name is Mary Wheeler, and my husband Kevin Wheeler live at 20 Randalls Road in Meeting, New York. We are writing to support the residential expansion of the existing home at 81 Randalls Road. Our neighbors, Stephen and Laura Holt's existing home and property to date has beautified our neighborhood already. We believe that they will tastefully complete the project and even more positive aesthetics to the area. Laura and Steve are always trying to be good stewards in the surrounding property of their home. Sincerely, Mary Wheeler." Next one was from Anthony Champollion, managing partner of Troutbeck. It says, "Dear Chairman Metcalf and members of the board," it was written on August 4th, 2025. "I write in support of the proposed expansion for residential use of the existing home at 81 Randalls Road. Troutbeck neighbors this property and remain grateful to the Holt family for their active stewardship of both their land and the stretch of Weevattuck Creek abutting our own. The visual improvements they have made to the public view shed along both Leeds Hill and Randalls Road are substantial and appreciated. We believe their proposed plans to expand their existing residence are appropriate. We believe that the applicant will execute their plans faithfully. The applicant has, as ever, our complete support. We encourage the members of the board to look upon their application favorably. Sincerely, Anthony L. Champollion." And last one is from Damian Zanino. "Dear Chairman Metcalf and members of the board, we are neighbors of Stephen and Laura Holt. We live in Oak Hill Road, just off Randalls Road. I'm writing in support of their proposed addition to their house. Steve and Laura are very good neighbors and have invested a lot of time and resources into making their property in Randalls Road a much better place for the community. They have made great improvements by clearing lots of vines and dead trees and by planting new grasses and trees along the road. Their proposed addition sounds reasonable and respectful to the scale of the neighborhood, and we have no doubt that it will be well executed. We respectfully support their proposed plan. Thank you very much. Best, Damian and Britt Zunino."
Thank you. Reason for our meeting tonight is the public hearing on the Holt 81 Randalls Road for special permit area variance. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I move that we open the public hearing on
Second.
81 Randalls Road.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Public hearing is now open.
And just to be clear, Mr. Chair, I know there's a reference to a special permit on the agenda. It's just area variances that they're seeking from this board.
Okay.
One relative to the front yard setback, the other relative to the size of the lot.
Super, very good, thank you. Well, public hearing. Anybody would like to speak?
I would,
Please hold your comments to about 2 minutes.
okay. So I'm Barbara Miley.
And please go to the podium and use the microphone.
All right, great. I'm Barbara Miley. I'm a neighbor of Stephen and Laura, and they're very good neighbors, very good people. My issue is that I think the public hearing should be postponed because the application was not available, and you read the supportive comments. Well, I unfortunately don't know a lot about the proposed structure. Within the last hour, I asked Judy, and she very nicely sent me the application. It was not on the website. So I think the public hearing is premature. I glanced at this, and I have some questions and observations. I think that the letters and this application is worded as an extension or an addition. Well, if I look at this, and I literally was reading this in the car on the way over, a friend drove me. So the addition is 2.53 times larger than the current structure. Okay, so that's one issue. I'm curious as to how that is characterized as an addition or extension. It seems like a new house, and the kitchen's going to go there. That seems like it will be the primary house, and that existing structure will be some type of accessory or addition. And also questions about the setback. And again, I haven't studied this. I don't know what the regs are. I'm looking at this application. It says that front yard depth is 40 feet. I don't know if that's a measurement from the road, but I will make this observation because I've been living at this location since 1967. The road has almost tripled in size. I would say over the last 20 years, maybe I want to say, 40% expansion. We have a lot of water, and with the change in the yearly water rainfall, there's been a lot of flooding, and the town has done an excellent job of maintaining the road to prevent the mud. Even a four-wheel drive can't get through the mud, and sometimes, so they have put nice drainage ditches. And since I own the land across the road from, it looks like exactly where the house will be, there's like a point. If any of you know that road, there's a fork, and I own the point, which is exactly across from where this house site will be. What I'm concerned about is the town has roadside easements for maintenance of roads. Again, an excellent job. But I don't want the culverts and the ditches and the expansion to be only on my side because the house is on the other side and so close to the road. So again, I don't have a specific objection at this point. I just think I need more time to study this. I did not have the application. So I think the public hearing should either be rescheduled or extended in some fashion to give people time to study the regs, the zoning law, which applies to extensions and additions. This seems like a primary residence, a replacement of the primary residence, and also look at the setback issues, because I think I will be affected. I could be affected. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
With respect to the request to extend the public hearing for another month, that's entirely within the board's purview as to whether or not you'd like to do that. I glanced at the notice, the notice which was timely given to the neighboring property owners as well as the newspaper, as I understand from Judy, indicates that a copy of the application is on file in the Planning and Zoning Office for public viewing and inspection Monday through Thursday, 9 to 3 by appointment. It goes on to say, please call 845-373-8860 extension 122 or email jwestfall@amenianewyork.gov for comments and questions. So the application was available for members of the public to come in and view. There's not a requirement that all of the application materials be posted to the website, although that has been done in the past, I understand, for some applications, Judy. So if the board, in the interest of consistency with those prior applications being posted online, would like it to be posted online and for the hearing to be extended, that's within your purview.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly may.
Did you, as a neighbor, not receive the letter?
Oh, yeah, I received it, yeah. I travel a lot, I'm based, back and forth to the city, and yes, shame on me for not contacting somebody sooner. I just assumed it was, so at noon today, I was looking all over the website and finally got so exasperated, I called Judy around 4:30, and she very nicely picked up the phone and sent it to me, so I literally have had.
I understand that, but
everybody.
you had enough, you had a lot of notice, you had the same notice as
I had the
everyone.
same notice as everybody.
Okay. Any other comments here from the board?
I would like to make a motion that we extend the hearing.
Could we maybe address some of the questions before that gets voted on, or is that?
Yeah, because I was going to ask, what would the hardship be to you folks if we extend it beyond tonight?
It's just a matter of going through the process in a timely fashion. We were hoping to meet the requirements of. We were hoping to meet the requirements of.
Thank you.
So no problem, absolutely. Of this board, and then take these results back to us to the planning board. If I can take a moment to answer some of your questions, because as you've only had a limited amount of time to review it, I can help maybe clarify some things as you review further.
Well, I like to do my own research. I mean, I'd be very happy to hear what you have to say, but I think it's up to, the board's attorney to evaluate but of course, you can explain it.
Yeah, I
Because I read through the materials and I saw the code that you cited. Again, I haven't had a chance to go and look at the code, but it does seem to be about extensions and additions.
It's absolutely right. It's a proposed addition. It is an addition to this structure.
So is it correct, though, that the new house will be 4,200 square feet and the existing house is, 1,600?
Yes, it is a substantial, one of the reasons we're here is because we would like to extend it more than the 50% that would normally be allowed to an existing non-conforming structure. We would like the addition to be more on par with other houses in the area that are also around 3,500, 4,000 square feet. The reason that this particular site has that hardship is because it was in existence prior to the enactment of the zoning rules.
Yeah, I actually, looked at the house, and the real estate broker was very, very clear about one thing. The house would not have been able to been built, and I don't know when this was, when you bought it, it's 15 years ago, very clearly stated in all the marketing materials that you could rebuild in the footprint, but no more.
That was the assessment by the real estate broker at the time, correct?
And that wasn't correct, they didn't have a proper.
With the way we have read the zoning, and in particular, some of the sections about existing non-conforming structures, we believe that there is a way to extend this. We have presented it to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we are waiting to see if they agree with our argument.
I can just clarify for the board, for the members of the public, what the situation is, what's being requested of this board, and what else the applicant has to do in order to get the approval they're seeking, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Not at all.
So the existing structure on the property is situated approximately 33.7 feet from the center line of the road. The center line of the road is where the setbacks are measured from underneath this code. So that's 6.3 feet less than the required minimum setback of 40 feet. The applicant's proposal is proposing to reduce that nonconformance, and that once this project is constructed, the setback of the residence will be situated 37.2 feet from the center line of the road, thereby reducing the nonconforming setback from 6.3 feet to 2.8 feet. So the requested deviation that they're seeking approval for is for 2.8 feet, where they currently have 6.3. So they're proposing to reduce the nonconformity for the setback. With respect to the lot size, the lot is an undersized lot. It's approximately 3.53 acres in size. They're not proposing to do anything that would change the size of the lot, so they're seeking an area variance essentially for permission to continue that undersized lot and to build this project on it. Now, the issue with respect to what approvals are needed, there's a section in the code 121-27 that deals with non-conforming uses or structures, and 121-27D2 provides that the planning board may issue a special permit allowing an expansion of a non-conforming use or structure by up to 50% of its area at the time of the adoption of this chapter, provided that all other requirements can be met and that such expansion does not reduce any non-conforming setbacks by more than 20%. Expansion or introduction of uses prohibited by 121-10C shall not be permitted. This provision is not available to the applicant because they're seeking to expand the non-conforming structure by more than 50% of the area. That's why they came to the Zoning Board of Appeals rather than just going to the Planning Board, because they need the Zoning Board of Appeals to essentially permit the reduced setback of 2.8 feet and the undersized lot, because they can't take advantage of the pre-existing non-conforming language. Should this board decide to grant both of those variances, then they have to go back to the planning board for site plan review in order to do the layout and all the typical things that the board would do during site plan review.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments on? Okay, well, I do
Have a
believe we
motion
had a
to
motion.
extend,
Yes, we had a motion in progress.
It's also, we don't need to decide whether or not the hearing, or this board doesn't need to decide whether or not the hearing is going to stay open at this point in the meeting. If you'd like to continue the conversation and talk through each of the area variance elements, which this board has to do anyway, you can do that and then return to the question of whether or not the hearing ought to be extended following that conversation. Up to you.
Okay. Sounds like a good plan. What do we do with a motion? Could just,
Do you wish to withdraw the motion until the end of the meeting, or wish to have it considered now? I think the motion's been made, so the board should
We
consider the
can,
motion.
we can wait till you have your discussion.
say, withdraw the motion?
No, I'm gonna keep the motion, but we can have the discussion first, no?
And Judy,
Do I have to withdraw the motion?
Judy made a good point, there hasn't been a second yet, so.
So, okay. Okay, so you don't have to withdraw it. All right, any discussion here, gentlemen, on the foregoing discussion that, with the information we've got from the lawyer?
No, other than, so when all said and done, it's only a 2 what did you say, 2.8?
2.8, approximately 2.8 feet
That's the very,
deviation, because they're
That's for, yeah.
37.2 feet away from the center line as opposed to being 40 feet from the center line of the road.
Is there no, there's no problem with the stream as well? There needs to be a,
So the stream, they're within 100 feet of the stream that goes through the back of the property. That request is not before this board, and the reason why is that, bear with me one second. So the property's in the Stream Corridor Overlay District, and the requirements of the Stream Corridor Overlay District provide that within the district, no principal structure shall be located within 100 feet of a watercourse, and no accessory structure shall be located 200 feet or larger, or excuse me, no accessory structure 200 square feet or larger shall be located within 50 feet of a watercourse. These setbacks shall not apply to docks, piers, bridges, and other structures which by their nature must be located on, adjacent to, or over the watercourse. For the purposes of determining setbacks, measurements shall be horizontal distances measured from the top of the bank or mean high water line as appropriate for lots in existence as of July 19th, 2007, which this lot is, and for any project for which an environmental impact statement has been prepared, the planning board may modify these setback requirements provided that the planning board finds that the proposed construction will comply with subsection E3 below. And then E3 provides some criteria for the planning board to consider. So that request about the relative location of the building to the stream is one the planning board will have to take up.
this has nothing to do with this particular issue, but I don't understand why the planning board has zoning ZBA authority. It should be this board, but anyway, that has nothing to do with that. I have real concerns about this. This house is too close to the road as it is now. To expand it 2.5 times, it's a huge structure that's too close to the road. There's also an issue that this is a very important environmental area for wildlife. It's part of a continuous forest from the highlands up to Canada. We can see from people who put cameras out in the woods, we can see all sorts of fauna that don't usually come close to humans. I'm concerned about, even though it's not in our purview, I'm concerned about the Weebatuck. It's a very precious stream. It's not only important for wildlife, it's culturally important. It's our Walden Pond. Myron Benton is our Henry David Thoreau. And to build this huge structure near this stream, I think is a desecration. We would never build it on Walden Pond. So I think this project does not meet the requirements that the project is not destructive to the neighborhood, to the nature of the neighborhood, to the environment, to the animals. And I think we shouldn't be building houses up against the roads. That's a problem, I think, for a number of reasons. So I don't see how I can possibly support this project.
Okay.
I mean, my feeling is that we need to address whatever has been brought before us, okay?
Yeah.
We don't need to, think about the Weebatuck as Walden Pond. And the neighbors, the immediate neighbors, all support this project.
But
So
it's
they
in
don't-
our-
they don't-
I'm an immediate neighbor.
We have no idea whether you support it or not. You said you need more time, right?
Well, from what I'm seeing by skimming, I have not read every word of the application.
Anyway, can I
would have to
finish?
say I'm
May
not
I
in
finish?
support.
May I finish, please? You interrupted me. Okay. So, 3 out of the 4 neighbors who've come before the board feel that this is not going to adversely affect their quality of life in this particular neighborhood. They are the ones who are in the best position to judge, whether these 2 variances should be granted. I don't think that building a bigger house, which they're doing just so they can accommodate their family. They're not opening a bed and breakfast or anything. It's,
Right.
I think that these variances should be approved by us. And then, yes, it has to go on to the planning board, but that's the way the government's structured. That's the way, so.
And just to be clear, when this board is evaluating the factors, the area variance factors, you're not evaluating the impact of building the big house. You're evaluating the impact of the fact that that structure that's being built is going to be 2.8 feet closer to the road than it ought to be, and it's going to be on a lot that's 1.5 acres smaller than the lot ought to be. You're not evaluating the entirety of the project and whether or not it makes sense to build a house of that size. Those are the dimensional considerations that will be before the planning board.
I beg to differ. When I read our requirements in the regulations, it says if a project is detrimental to the character of the community, you have to deny the variance.
It's whether the one of the criteria is whether the proposed variance, not the project, but the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or the district. So you're looking at that variance, not the entirety of things that might constitute the project.
I have
So
one
I'll have to
question.
reread that.
I have one
That's not what
question,
I read.
and maybe the architect can help me with this. there is a culvert, and Steve, I know that you have like a little wooden bridge there. Where that water goes down underneath that bridge, how close is that to the edge of the house? And I think this is important with the variance, because if we're gonna grant a variance, and there's gonna be a house sitting there, and it's, 3 feet from the stream bed, the tributary, it's basically a tributary. What are your mitigating plans if we were to get 3 to 5 inches of rain in a matter of a half hour? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
So as part of the application to DEC and part of the stormwater management, the civil engineer has introduced a series of rain gardens. The house does get, the proposed extension does get close to that culvert. Matthew, if you can go to page 9, I think.
I mean, because I'm a farmer, and I've
Mhm.
seen rains where I come back out and the field is washed away, you know what I mean? And, part of it or something. And just the way things have been the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, no, I think the existing culvert has a series of boulders and rocks and things to maintain the soil stability. And then as the house moves its way east, you see that it stops a good maybe 10 feet or 12 feet from the center line of the culvert, and then there are a series of steps and a wall that holds back. So we are not disturbing the path of that culvert at all. We're letting it do what it does, and as the storm comes off of the road towards the Weebatuck, and then it is not impeded. We're trying to keep a healthy distance away. DEC has already okayed our applications, and it's a type 2 today.
I'm sorry, where is the culvert on this?
So see those series?
Can you put it the one behind you?
Oh, I can, yes, thank you. This is the culvert right here. I didn't know, I forgot about this screen. So here we have Randall's Road. This is a little portion of an island that separates Randall from the adjacent street. And then the culvert comes in under here and moves its way that way. So the series of angled lines, that's the path of the culvert. And then you see our column lines and the eastern edge of our proposed extension here. It's a good, scale's not here, but it's a good 10 to 12 feet away.
If I may,
15.
if I may comment also, in the 16 years we've been there, that's never overflowed, and it's very steep and it's full of boulders, so we've never had a flood issue where that drainage ditch has overflowed.
Can I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to respond to Mr. Wright's comment about the neighbor support. I believe, I mean, I'm looking at a map, that I am the only neighbor who has adjoining property. So I think that puts me in a special category. The other neighbors who are supportive are nearby. They're neighbors, but they're not adjacent. And so I am the one who is concerned about, if you look at this Randall's Road, over here, there's a point that comes out. And
There's a small island on the roads, is that you?
No, it's the, not the point.
Oh, so you're on the other side.
Oh,
You're-
yeah.
Well, it's not, it's
the
not.
island is town property.
Yeah, the island is what's in front of the extension. This is the island.
Right,
The
but
extension is
my
here.
point is right here, and so the road, which is across from the culvert, that keeps getting expanded because of drainage issues. We've had, and, they've done an unbelievable job at keeping the water off the road with these extensive rainfalls. So my concern is the town has a roadside easement, and I don't want to be discriminated against. It's like, oh, we need more space for a ditch. Well, just go to this adjoining property, because now you have a very reduced setback and will be in your living room.
question.
So,
Well, the setback is per current code. The extension does respects the current zoning rules. So it's not any closer to the road than any other new construction.
I thought part of the reason that you're here is because you want to reduce the setback.
Of the existing structure that is currently 32 feet away from the road, we want to make it 37 feet away from the road.
It's going back further.
Yeah. So the area right,
That's all 40 feet or beyond in the new part.
correct. So see this red line right here? That red line is what we are required to
Could
do.
you recuse yourself?
The new extension completely respects that.
Being
And does not
close
encroach
neighbor.
any closer to the road. on that red line. Actually, it keeps a good 3 feet
Why
away.
do you call it an extension? Isn't it a new house?
No, it's an extension, because it will, at the end of the day, be one single-family house.
Okay, I mean, it seems like that's gonna be the primary residence. I mean, it's sort of adjoining structures. I wouldn't call that one house.
They will share foundations and envelopes, so they are one house.
If I may comment, Barbara, when we bought this house, we had 2 little children. Now we have 2 grown children, one's about to get married. We live in that is a 1-bedroom house. Laura and I will continue to live in that 1-bedroom house, but now we have a place where our children are no longer sleeping on a couch in the basement where the TV is, or upstairs in an open loft where there's no privacy. So this is about grandchildren, kids growing up,
Oh,
making this long-term.
I'm sure, I know you have good reasons, and
No, it's not, the
Yeah.
primary house for us remains.
yeah, I just see when you increase something by 2.5 times, I didn't understand why it was being called an extension or addition, but I guess that's just nomenclature. It seems like a new house.
Well, extension and additions would be the same thing. In an addition, you'd still have one house, and an extension would still be one house.
Okay.
May I ask a question about some of the larger concerns that, is it George that raised? Are those concerns, I guess it's a question for you, those, I think you were suggesting were not before the zoning commission, but do those concerns get raised when it goes back to the town planning?
Concerns relative to the layout, environmental potential impact of the project. I could imagine them coming up in the conversations about the relative location of the new structure to the stream, because the planning board will have to consider whether or not being within that 100-foot setback for the stream can be waived. So yes, that's the forum where the potential stream impact would be discussed.
Do you know whether they had any environmental impact study done?
So, with respect to SECRA, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Chair, because we discussed at the last meeting which body should be lead agency. Took a closer look at this after the last meeting, and the action's pretty clearly a type 2 action under SECRA, which means it's not subject to SECRA. There are 3 different type 2 actions that are potentially applicable here. One of which is that the granting of an area variance for a single-family, 2-family, or 3-family residence is a type 2 action, pretty clearly applies. Another is the granting of an individual setback and lot line variance and adjustment is a type 2 action, as well as the construction or expansion of a single-family, 2-family, or 3-family residence on an approved lot, including provision of necessary utility connection as provided for in paragraph 13 of this subdivision, and these are the SECRA regulations I'm reading from, and the installation, maintenance, or upgrade of a drinking water well or septic system or both, and conveyances of land in connection therewith. So for one or more of those reasons, this is a type 2 action under SECRA. DEC has reviewed an application for and issued a wetlands permit for this project. The project isn't proposed to construct anything within the wetland, but they are constructing a portion of the structure within the wetlands adjacent area. That's been permitted by DEC. DEC, in issuing that permit, also concluded that it was a type 2 action under SECRA. So there's no negative declaration or environmental impact statement as a result of that.
Okay, so basically what I'm understanding is that we only have 2 things that we have to look at, and that's the variance for the property size and the setback distance from the center of the road.
That's correct.
So the rest of it, the size of the house, the proximity to the Weebatuck is not before us at this time. And the seeker, which is the environmental impact, you've just explained is not our purview either.
Now, the setback for the stream could come before this board if, for whatever reason, the planning board does not elect to vote to change the setback distance. one of the avenues of recourse available to the applicant would be to ask this board for that relief, but they have not requested that yet. They believe it's more appropriately before the planning board at this point.
Okay.
I just want to be clear, you're saying because it's a type 2 action, there will be no secret review?
That's correct. By rule, by secret rule, it's not subject to review under secret.
Any more discussion? So, you had a motion you wanted to,
I'd like to extend the public hearing.
do I hear a second on that motion? I do not. So I guess that's basically motion denied.
Understand?
Okay,
Somebody else could motion to close the hearing if they'd like to.
yes, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Yes.
All right,
No,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that begins a 62-day period within which this board has to make a decision as to whether or not to grant or deny the variance. I know there was some question relative to the area variance criteria, what they are and how they apply. I prepared and sent the board a draft resolution to use as a starting point for the conversation. I have copies of that. And there's an appendix to this, which are proposed findings under the variance that I prepared based on the conversation at the last meeting as well as the application materials. So that could serve to focus the conversation on the area variance elements that the board should be considering.
I'll take a couple of minutes here to review this. Okay. Understood.
So I think the key part there, what's on page 4 and 5, the findings in support of a variance approval.
Yes,
Those are the 4 criteria that the board, 5 criteria the board should consider and weigh as part of its deliberations. And I can read from the standard in the code if you'd like me to, Terry.
Okay. Okay.
So this is the balancing test that the board has done before. No one of the 5 elements that you're considering is dispositive. An answer to yes to one of them doesn't necessarily mean you have to grant or deny the application. The code says that in making its determination, the zoning board of appeals shall take into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted, as weighed against a detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community of such grant. In making this determination, the board shall also consider, and the first is, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. The proposed language reads, no undesirable change or detriment will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or to nearby neighbors from the grant of the area variance. The property is located in a residential neighborhood and zoning district, and the additions proposed by the applicants are residential in nature. Moreover, several nearby houses in the area currently have an average square foot living area of over 3,500 square feet, consistent with this proposal. The requested front setback variance will lessen the existing nonconformity. The requested lot size variance does not represent a change from existing conditions. I think we should just pause and talk about that amongst yourselves to either confirm or suggest modifications or come to a different conclusion.
What is the envisioned square footage of the new structure?
Matt, can you put that back up on the screen, please?
Which one?
The drawing.
Randall Road?
Yeah, you're still on.
The final structure, including the existing and the proposed, will be 5,000 square feet. 5,100.
5,000 what?
100.
So the 3,500 number is at the size of the new space?
Correct. The extension, correct.
Thank you.
Do we know how the 5,000 square feet compares with other houses in the area?
The 5,000 square feet includes what is normally considered unfinished basements and lower levels. The other houses in the area do not include that in their living space equivalent.
Mhm.
So it's conceivable that these 3,500 square foot houses have additional spaces in their cellars and basements. The 5,000 square foot number is a gross number.
Okay. And again, they're not proposing a variance from size of the building. There's no size issues relative to the pure square footage of the structure.
And again, the offending part that comes too close to the road is that red section, the porch of the original structure, correct?
That's correct. The porch
So-
of the original structure on the west side, yes.
So short of, and you're talking about taking a piece of that porch off to actually diminish the size
We're trying,
that it is right now.
we're trying to improve that, yes.
Okay.
We recognize that it's an existing structure, it was built before that 40% setback was enforced. So we're
Right.
trying to make it more compliant. We are reconfiguring that front entry to be further away from the road.
And all of the new structures, because of the angle, are actually set back more than the original house?
The new structure, the new extension respects the current 40-foot setback, and then some, yes, it is 41 feet or so.
Seems to me. Okay, any discussion? Not for you, not for me?
In my version, I just included a note, the proposed structure is approximately 5,000, or maybe the proposed expanded structure is approximately 5,000 square feet calculated on a gross basis, based on the
On
state.
those bases, yeah, that 5,000 is the building, the final total structure, not just what we're adding. What we're
Okay.
adding is about free and change, the final total structure is.
Gotcha. The next criterion, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. This proposed language came from a statement the applicant made in the application materials relative to the potential impact on the foundation and the existing structure if they were to move the existing structure any further back. It reads, the applicants indicate they have reduced the front yard setback nonconformity to the maximum extent feasible, given that any further reduction would substantially impact the existing foundation and structure. The undersized lot already exists. Excuse me. Therefore, the ZBA finds that the variances granted are the minimum necessary so as to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. There's a stray word in there, adequate. I'm striking that.
Anybody got anything to say?
I think I might have to recuse myself, like when it comes to vote and everything, so I don't know if I should leave now or come back.
Okay.
Yeah, usually when a board member recuses themselves, they step down from the dais and either sit in the crowd or elsewhere. Just so it's clear that you're removing yourself from the situation.
Yeah, I just think it's probably the best thing for me to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Jim?
No, I have no questions about that.
Okay, where do we proceed from here?
So that, no one has any comments to what I just read. I'll move on to the next criterion,
Okay.
which is whether the requested area variance is substantial. There's no bright line as to what's substantial and what's not substantial. I've seen some cases that say, 20% can be the threshold, but there are others. I split the difference here. I write that the area variance from the front yard setback is found to not be substantial, given that it represents approximately 7% of the requirement and further represents an improvement over existing conditions. And the area variance from lot size, representing approximately 29% of the requirement, may be deemed substantial. So the fact that we're looking to deviate 1.5 acres from a 5-acre standard could be viewed as substantial. The fact that we're looking to deviate 2.8 feet and we're improving the front yard setback variance, I put in the draft that that's not substantial. Doesn't matter for the outcome, it's just how this is weighed in the overall test. So.
Okay.
Sounds like I don't hear any dissent on that. I'll go on to the next one.
Oh, I dissent.
Okay.
It's complete. I mean, you only have to look at the picture to see how huge this complex is. It's in
Again,
it's in your face.
it's whether the variance is substantial, not whether the size of the structure is substantial. It's
Well, the variance will enable the huge structure, so it's the same thing.
No, it won't. It has nothing to do with the size of the structure.
The problem is, it has nothing to do with, the size of the building has nothing to do with what they're here to get the variances for. The variances are for,
Are you telling me that that picture is not substantial?
oh, I'm
It's
not
not-
saying.
it's
I'm
not-
not saying-
We're not
I'm
here to
not
judge
saying
the
it.
building.
I'm
We're
not-
here
I'm
to
not
judge the
judging the building.
size of the lot.
Yes, it's, the only thing we've got to discuss is whether or not the lot size is, variance is acceptable to us, and the other is the setback distance is acceptable. Those are the only two things that we are here to discuss. To me, that's one heck of a big addition. But I'm not here to discuss whether or not that's good or not. That's up to the people who are going to be building it. And that's up to the,
No,
that's up
we
to the
have to
planning board.
consider the impact of the building when we issue a variance. That's what I read. I'll go back and reread it when I go home, but that's what I read. We have to, the impact of the building on the character of the community, on the environment and everything else. We have to decide whether the variance is going to affect that.
Can you speak to that? Because as far as
I'm
concerned-
distinguishing between the impact to the variance, which is what's the language in the code says, and the impact of the building itself,
Right,
the size of which does not require a variance. It's
Yes.
merely the location of that highlighted corner that's creating the need for the variance.
right.
So the vast majority of the bulk of the building is not within the setback that
See,
we're looking.
if I had to answer you to that, what I would say is, that is the responsibility of the planning board, not of the zoning board of appeals. The planning board needs to, if they look at this and they say, hey, that building is way too big to put on that small piece of property, that's their purview. But as far as we are concerned, the only thing we want to do is the setback, the variance for the setback, is that acceptable? And is the property size?
I'm sorry, Terry, what I read isn't what you're saying now. I read something totally different. I'll have to go back and reread it. I don't have the laws in front of me, but I read something different.
Can you address that, Rob, or not?
Can you address that?
I've read from the law, and it does speak in terms of taking into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood of the community of such grant, referring to the grant of the variance as opposed to the overall project. So if you'd like me to take a closer look at this specific issue relative to the scope of the board's authority in the context of a variance, I'm happy to do that before the next meeting to take a deeper dive into it. But that's my reading of the code as we sit here now.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessary.
I don't either.
The next.
I agree with Terry that issues of, whether the addition is too large, will be at odds with the nature of that particular community, is a planning board issue. I mean, they're not in a position to buy adjacent land to meet the 5-acre requirement. So that's up to us to say, if it's okay that they can live where they live. I mean,
I suppose the alternative would be to completely demolish the existing house, tear out the foundation, and build a new house of the exact same size there, configured slightly differently so that there's not a 2.8 foot.
For 2.8 feet.
Right,
is
relative to the
nonsensical.
front setback, at least. And that's why one of the criteria takes into consideration whether those other means of addressing the nonconformance are feasible. It's the applicant's position that doing that is not feasible, given the relative costs involved of completely reconfiguring the existing structure. I can go on to the next criterion. It's whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. Language there says the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhood or district. The ZBA finds that the applicants have sought to maintain the aesthetic character of the neighborhood and town. The applicants have indicated that the improvements have been strategically sited to minimize site disturbance by occupying a previously developed flat area on the property. This approach has reduced the need for regrading and reduces potential impacts to the wetlands adjacent area located on the property. The ZBA notes that the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has issued a freshwater wetlands permit pursuant to Article 24 of the Environmental Conservation Law, effective as of June 13th, 2025.
I think that proves my point.
The next criterion is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which shall be relevant to the decision of the board, but which shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. The draft says the ZBA finds that neither variance results from a self-created difficulty because the lot and structure were existing at the time the current zoning law was adopted. To the extent that any elements of new construction are located within the front yard setback, they are located at a greater distance from the road than currently exists. And that's the conclusion of the analysis.
Okay, where do we go from here then?
I can read the balance of the application. There are whereas clauses setting forth the background. It's most of the stuff I reviewed at the beginning of the meeting, but it sets forth exactly what the request is and what the secret considerations are, if you'd like me to do that.
I mean, we reviewed that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've done that.
I mean, I think, isn't the question whether or not we can proceed to a vote?
You can proceed to a vote if you'd like tonight, or not. You just have to do it within 62 days of tonight.
What do you want?
I make a motion to do it tonight.
I second that.
Okay,
Vote no.
then we will proceed.
So you vote yes?
That was just a vote on whether or not we're going to vote, or you're going to vote, as opposed to.
There's a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Now you need to,
Say all of it.
It's all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
motion passes.
Okay.
But that wasn't a motion to, was that a
That's
motion
a motion
to adopt the resolution?
to go towards, to take a vote.
Okay,
It was not the motion of,
Understood.
it was not
That's
to
what I thought.
vote. It was a motion to go ahead with the vote.
I'm not clear on that.
There was a motion introduced to whether or not to vote tonight as opposed to sometime,
The actual resolution.
sometime
Yes.
in the next
Oh.
62
Not the
days.
actual resolution, but,
Oh, okay.
because if we vote and, then I have to read this wonderful resolution.
You don't have to.
So clearly it should say something of vote between now and 62 days from now, correct? Is that the motion?
Well, the motion was to go to a vote tonight.
Right.
In other words,
They've agreed that they're going to
No.
vote tonight, they haven't agreed yet how they're going to vote.
Okay. Do you want me to make up some ballots, or?
No.
no.
I move that we now vote on whether or not to grant these two variances.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't know.
Aye.
Got it.
No. Does this need to be read, or should I read it? It probably
So
should.
you've made some changes to it.
Yeah, since we made some changes, I can read through it, Terry, because I made some notes in the margin on mine, if you'd like me to
Okay.
do it.
Okay, if you would, I would appreciate it.
So, Town of Amelia Zoning Board of Appeals, Resolution X of 2025. Resolution granting area variances, there's a blank there, it should be from front yard setback and lot size at 81 Randalls Road. Whereas by application dated June 23rd, 2025, submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals, the ZBA, on June 27th, 2025, Stephen and Laura Holt, the applicants, applied for two variances to allow for an extension of an existing structure and residential use at 81 Randalls Road, tax parcel number 132-000-7267-0-475-821-000, which is referred to as the property. And whereas the property is located within the rural residential zoning district, with portions of the site being located in the floodplain overlay, the stream corridor overlay, the scenic protection overlay, and the aquifer overlay, and whereas, among other things, the zoning laws of the town of Amenia, adopted July 19th, 2007, the zoning law, provides for a minimum front yard setback of 40 feet from the center line of the road for properties located on a town road and a minimum lot size of 5 acres. And whereas the existing residence at the property is situated approximately 33.7 feet from the center line of the road, approximately 6.3 feet less than the required minimum setback. And whereas the existing lot is approximately 3.53 acres in size, approximately 1.47 acres less than the minimum required lot size. And whereas following implementation of site improvements proposed by the applicants, which improvements are currently pending before the Town of Amenia Planning Board for review, which is defined as the project, the setback of the residence is proposed to be situated approximately 37.2 feet from the center line of the road, thereby reducing the nonconforming setback from 6.3 feet to 2.8 feet. And whereas, following implementation of the project, the lot size is not proposed to change. And whereas, as a result of the foregoing, the applicants seek an approximately 2.8-foot area variance from the front yard setback requirement and an approximate 1.47 acre setback from the minimum lot size requirement. And whereas, pursuant to regulations implementing the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, located at 6 NYC-RR Part 617.5A, there are certain actions or classes of actions referred to as Type 2 actions that are not subject to SECRA review, as such actions have been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment or are otherwise precluded from review under the Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8. These actions include the following, located at 6 NYC-RR Part 617.5C 11, 16, and 17, respectively. Number 11, construction or expansion of a single-family, a two-family, or a three-family residence on an approved lot, including provision of necessary utility connections as provided in paragraph 13 of this subdivision, and the installation, maintenance, or upgrade of a drinking water well or a septic system or both, and conveyances of land in connection therewith. Number 16, granting of individual setback and lot line variances and adjustments. Number 17, granting of an area variance for a single-family, two-family, or three-family residence. And whereas in connection with the project, the applicants have obtained from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation a freshwater wetlands permit effective as of June 13th, 2025. And whereas the wetlands permit authorizes disturbance to the 100-foot adjacent area of New York State regulated freshwater wetland in conjunction with construction of a two-bedroom addition, a pervious paver driveway, and rain gardens in strict accordance with the plans referenced in Natural Resources Permit Condition Number 1 and as conditioned in this permit. No disturbance to the freshwater wetland is authorized by this permit. And whereas, in issuing the wetlands permit, the New York State DEC determined that the project constitutes a Type 2 action and is thus not subject to further SEQR review. And whereas, the ZBA finds that the application for the requested area variance constitutes a secret Type 2 action. And whereas a public hearing was held on the application on August 18th, 2025, and the public was invited to comment on the application at the hearing or submit comments prior to the hearing for consideration by the board. And whereas at its August 18th, 2025 meeting, the board made the findings below, which are being memorialized by this resolution. And now, therefore, be it resolved, for the reasons set forth in the attached findings in support of variance approval, the ZBA finds that the benefit to the applicants of granting the requested variances outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood and community, and grants the requested front yard setback variance of approximately 2.8 feet, noting specifically that the requested variance lessens the existing nonconformity of approximately 6.3 feet, and grants the requested lot size variance of approximately 1.4 acres, noting that the applicants are not proposing to increase the existing nonconformity. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be filed in the office of the Town of Armenia Clerk within 5 days of the date of this resolution, and shall be mailed to the applicant within the same 5-day period. Findings in support of variance approval. Pursuant to Section 121-59D2 of the Town of Armenia Zoning Code, the board considered the benefit to the applicants if the variances are granted, as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community of such grant. For the following reasons, the project will not detrimentally affect the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. A, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. No undesirable change or detriment will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or to nearby neighbors from the grant of the area variance. The property is located in a residential neighborhood and zoning district, and the additions proposed by the applicant are residential in nature. Moreover, several nearby houses in the area currently have an average square foot living area of over 3,500 square feet, consistent with the proposal. The proposed expanded structure is will be approximately 5,000 square feet, calculated on a gross basis. The requested front setback variance will lessen the existing nonconformity. The requested lot size variance does not represent a change from existing conditions. B, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The applicants indicate they have reduced the front yard setback nonconformity to the maximum extent feasible, given that any further reduction would substantially impact the existing foundation and structure. The undersized lot already exists. Therefore, the ZBA finds that the variances granted are the minimum necessary so as to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Whether the variance is substantial, the area variance from the front yard setback is found to not be substantial, given that it represents approximately 7% of the requirement and further represents an improvement over existing conditions. The area variance from lot size, representing approximately 29% of the requirement, may be deemed substantial. D, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. The proposed area variances will not have an adverse effect on the surrounding neighborhood or district. The ZBA finds that the applicants have sought to maintain the aesthetic character of the neighborhood and town The applicants have indicated that the improvements have been strategically sited to minimize site disturbance by occupying a previously developed flat area on the property. This approach has reduced the need for regrading and reduces potential impacts to the wetlands adjacent area located on the property. The ZBA notes that the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has issued a freshwater wetlands permit pursuant to Article 24 of the ECL, effective as of June 13th, 2025. E, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which shall be relevant to the decision of the board, but which shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. The ZBA finds that neither variance results from a self-created difficulty because the lot and structure were existing at the time the current zoning law was adopted. To the extent that any elements of new construction are located within the front yard setback, they are located at a greater distance from the road than currently exists.
Thank you. Now it's up to a vote, correct?
No, we already voted.
We didn't vote on it.
Did you vote to, I don't think we have a motion to adopt the resolution as read.
Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll make the motion to adopt the
I'll
resolution.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Judy, I'll send you a cleaned up version tomorrow that can be used to file and be mailed to the applicant.
We have a quorum. Does the alternate get to vote?
Yes, I believe the alternate was already sitting in place of a member who wasn't present this evening.
Yeah. And quorum is what?
It's a 5-member board. So
Five
you have
members, so 3.
Mhm.
Okay. So, we proceed with the vote now?
I believe you just
You
did.
just did.
Oh, okay. So we voted.
Right, and I'll send a cleaned up version to Judy tomorrow, and Terry, you can work with, or Judy, you can work with Terry to get his signature on the final version.
Okay, one caveat, I know there was a lot of concern about the size of it tonight. And what I would like to do is, I would like to recommend to the planning board that they take that in consideration in their next review,
Okay.
okay?
That'll be noted in the minutes and can be transmitted to the planning board.
Is that something they'd probably do anyway?
They were required to, yes.
Okay.
But I think it's appropriate, and the chair makes a good point, that there was a lot of discussion about that issue
agree.
at the meeting, so they
No.
should be aware of that.
And like George said, I agree, but
They should definitely be aware. And I think that, we cannot pass judgment on that as the ZBA. But it is something that they should take a closer look at.
Mhm. Fair enough. Thank you.
I disagree. I don't know, it says right here,
No, it
evaluating the community and.
It doesn't say it right there. It doesn't
Thank you very much
say.
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night now.
So should we move on to Mark?
Yes, now we move on to the next one.
He was taking calls.
The next, we're now in a regular meeting, and we have the Mark Morrison, 128 Old Route 22,
Should we
Wasaik,
get Chris?
area variance request. Pardon?
Oh, he
I
left.
think he left, yeah. He could have stayed, but,
For this part of it, yeah.
yeah. Okay. That's where we're at now.
well, I read all 22 pages. Are you Mark?
Yeah.
Well, you're lucky.
No, I'm just,
I got home and I
do you want me
picked
to
up,
explain, I'm having some allergy issues here, but, do you want me to explain the project, or?
That's up to the chairman.
you probably will have to. I was just going to explain. I got home this afternoon, picked up my phone, going to read everything. And everything, I started reading, I said, oh, I got something I gotta do. I left, I came back.
Poof.
Everything that was there was gone. I've been in touch with our technical group, and they couldn't find what had happened to it, so. And then Judy sent me a copy, never received it. Then I found out after the fact, the reason everything disappeared was Verizon and Optimum both crashed at the same time. So I didn't get a chance to read it. So if you want to go ahead and,
Yeah, sure.
I'd appreciate it.
I own 128 Old Route 22, and I bought the property in December of 2006. And the building that I'm talking about came with the property. It was an unfinished pole barn garage. And after I was in the house a short time, people kept trying to turn around in the driveway, and they kept smashing the gate. And so I ended up taking the driveway out, fencing it off, taking the garage door out, finishing the building, and here we are today. I did, back in, I think it was 2007, put a little shed roof addition on one side, and I had no issues. All I really want to do is I want to put a little 18 by 24 foot addition on, so the ground floor, I've got a little under 5 acres there, and the ground floor is going to be about 432 square feet, so there's not a huge impact. I'm actually a licensed landscape architect, and even though it's my house, if you drive down the property, you don't even see the building. I've got it landscaped and that stuff, so the building's really not apparent. And I only have one neighbor, Sally Leaf, to the opposite side. She owns around me, but I own the stream side, and about an acre on the side that the buildings are on. So it's, in my world, it's a piece of plywood. Mike told me I had to be 50 feet from the center line of the road. I've heard 40 feet all night, so I'm about 52 feet, or 52 feet, so I think it's I'm about 8 feet
Short of the
more.
60
It
mark.
should be,
Yeah.
or 60 feet, sorry,
Yeah,
60.
on a
Is that-
county
is that a
road.
So I've got
It's a county
52
road?
feet.
Yeah.
The other building's a little bit closer, but it's basically a sheet of plywood. And this is actually spurred something pretty interesting on, in that, we do a lot of outside work, obviously, but 60 feet in this town is a lot, because we're in New England, and when you think about it, even our road, I'm kind of a gateway into the southern part of Wassaic. Leo comes first, and then there's some houses, and that's me, and then you come in. And everybody's close to the road. I mean, as you go into Wassaic from the south, everybody's close to the road. And I think it slows traffic down, although I had a guy miss the curve and hit my hedge a few years ago. But, all in all, I think that for a lot of people, and there's a building on the road now that's got a tight lot. They've probably been here already, to put a house in, but 60 feet is quite a distance, from an overall town planning standpoint. But that's just a comment.
Sidebar.
But anyway, so I'm looking to put a small addition on this building for storage. It's not habitable. There's no plumbing. There'll be electricity, of course. But other than that, that's really what it is.
Okay, and I have one question from you, looking at the map. So your barn, let's say, is presently runs like this. You want to put the addition on so it's all in line, correct?
Yeah,
And-
for your benefit, since you didn't
Yeah.
Yes.
achieve anything.
So because the,
Basically, I know about where you live, but,
Yeah, I mean, main house is here, this is the building we're talking about, so this would be the addition.
okay.
so my only question was to alleviate us entirely, if that structure was to be moved back the 8 feet, then everything would be okay.
Yeah,
So
it
why
doesn't-
can you not do that? That's my
It
question.
doesn't line up with anything on the new building, so internally it doesn't work. And I do have a septic system in here.
And that was my question.
Yeah. So that's the main reason. Believe me, I thought about that.
Yeah, well, and then it's easier for everybody that
Yeah,
way,
of
is what
course.
I was thinking too.
Yeah. But, no, it's a nice little complex. It's a small house, but it's the old Buckley house for anybody that's been here for any period of time.
I'm in the old Buckley house.
Give it a Buckley, Jim.
That's the other buckle.
Yeah, I guess so.
His brother.
So is that the driveway?
Driveway's here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there used to be a driveway here, everybody took it out.
Okay.
So I actually share the driveway with Sally.
Okay. So we're just talking about granting a variance?
For that
this-
8
For
feet.
this, for the 8 feet?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Where's the septic?
This
That's the addition, where's the septic?
septic's in here.
So you couldn't move it back here?
Not really,
I mean, it's not that
not
far
really.
from the building.
No. I mean, that doesn't work. I've had, actually, the architect I bought the house from. So, we move back and forth.
I mean, a setback would be kind of attractive. This is a very
Go to
attractive
the
barn,
lantern.
the one with the rooster on it or whatever on the top.
Well, there's a ridge here, yeah,
Do you
and
go-
then there'll be a roof
I
here.
mean, it'd be,
Yeah,
it'd be nice to keep the
probably-
architectural integrity of that building if you moved it back a little bit.
Well, no, it'll probably be a green roof. Because
On the old building, I'm saying, you know,
So if you turn right in front of
you
the,
keep the
I mean,
architectural
this-
integrity
like
if you
West
move
Cousins now.
the addition back a little bit, set
but
it
the,
back a little
the
bit.
mobile station, turn right, go under the one-lane bridge.
I don't know, I
Turn
mean, I'm already moving it
left,
back 2 feet
turn left.
from the existing building.
Leo's building is
And then I'm
Right
going
there.
up everything.
So you are
There's
moving
couple
it 2 feet back from.
smaller buildings that are off
Yeah.
the road.
And I slowed down and
His-
looked on my way, I live out
Basically.
a little
his
bit
edges.
further into Wassaic, South Immediate area, and I slowed down and went by at about 2 miles an
He's on
hour,
Leo's
and I
side of the
could
road.
barely see the existing
Yeah.
pole barn.
I mean, it's a lovely,
Yeah.
Leo's and his.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Because they're,
I mean, people like got the hedges
Well, you know,
and
right?
stuff, so,
yeah.
it's not got both
Great
sides.
driveway and all mean.
Yeah, like Leo does.
I went through Cullen back with DEC,
Oh,
with the string, but it all worked out well.
Thank you.
thank you.
So what do we do?
Well, that's a good question.
It looks at me. Sorry, I was thumbing through the code. You had mentioned something at the beginning of your presentation about the 40 versus 60 feet. The 40-foot setback in the RR applies when you're on a town road. Because this is a county road, I think that's why the building inspector set it to 60.
Yeah,
In terms of what's next, any area variance requires a public hearing like we just had on the prior application. So that will have to be scheduled for next month, assuming the board thinks it has everything it needs to consider the application.
I move that we schedule a public hearing for next month.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's that.
all right.
Okay, we're done.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
September 15th, Mark.
September 15th.
That's our anniversary.
Hopefully the snow won't be flying.
No.
You might be running that one.
No, I don't think I'm gonna be here then. Let me look.
Oh, yeah, let me look.
That date sounded,
That date doesn't sound good at all.
Might have to tweak that then.
Well, you're supposed to keep them meetings open.
No, I'll be back. Just. I come back the 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Mark.
Bye.
See you later.
Thanks a
Bye,
lot.
Mark. Okay,
I might be back.
you might be
I
back.
gotta be in New York at 12:45, so.
Oh, you,
Yeah, I should be back.
sure. Hey, you think you got problems?
Oh, yeah, those are important ones.
No? Okay. Other matters. Minutes from 7/21/25. I got no comments because I didn't get a chance to read them.
I read them, but I wasn't here, so I just thought the grammar was great.
They looked all right to me.
Yeah, they looked okay to me too.
Fortunately, well, if you read.
If
I move that we approve the minutes from
Okay.
the July meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I vote?
You can. You've
Abstain.
read it. You've read it, you can vote.
Yes, I read them.
And I'll abstain.
Okay.
That should wrap it up, doesn't it?
Sure does.
I move that we embrace the close of the meeting.
That sounds like a good idea.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried.